Holy shit, Spinny! I forgot what you looked like. That's what you look like, man. After all these times, three
We're
weeks.
back, baby. It's been a while. Lots
You're
of
still
news
ugly
to
as hell.
go
I
over.
see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. Tough looks this morning. Jeez. But as
Episode
the
92, man.
ooh, who's it gonna be?
I think we got this is the pass rusher episode, man. There's some legendary 92s in the NFL. Reggie White,
James Harrison.
James Harrison, Michael Strahan. I mean, we
We
got some
got
Hall of Famers here, man.
it
You
is
got
the
another
pass
one?
rusher episode, episode 92. I don't got another one. I was just gonna take a shot at
That's
Michael
impressive.
Strahan, but decided against it. It's probably fine.
Well, Spinny, before we hear from Jack, I do want to
Ooh,
have a little Fetty's coaching corner here. Talk about my
yes.
squad. It's been so
I didn't know
long.
if it was too soon or not.
It is too soon. So
Okay.
uh, we'll
Let's hear
talk
it
about
then.
that game
All
in
the
a little
better.
bit.
All the better.
We'll kind of just talk about everything since it's been so long since we talked to you Hardies and Hardos. My squad, Bethany Lutheran, we were able to win the UMAC tournament championship and advance to the national tournament. That was very exciting. My third championship at Bethany, so that's always awesome to get that done. The crowd was electric. Shout out to our student section, especially. They came all season and especially in the tournament. They were loud and electric the entire time, both nights, Wednesday and Saturday in the semifinals and in the championship game. So shout out to those guys. Best fans in the conference, no doubt about it. Then we ran into a very, very good team, Wisconsin Platteville, out of the WIAC conference, seventh ranked team in the country. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They absolutely steamrolled us. They ended up winning by like 35 or something. I don't even know. Um, Worst 20 minutes. The second half is the worst 20 minutes of basketball we've played in the last 2 years. So we're not going to let 20 minutes of bad basketball define our great season we had. 24 wins, school record amount of wins. That's back-to-back seasons. We set the school record in wins. 47 total wins in 2 years. That's amazing. Shout out to our seniors, especially and our captains for pushing us through the season, keeping us locked in every single game. We actually, Spinny, you probably didn't even know this. We hadn't lost in 2024 at all until the national tournament, and our 17 game win streak was the longest in Division 3, 2, or 1 at the time.
Wow.
So we had the longest win streak in the entire country, and then faced Platteville and got ran through. So it is what it is. Shout out to Platteville. They played exceptionally well. Very physical team. They hit tough shots on the offensive end all night, and they ended up winning the next night too in the round of 32. So they are off to the Sweet 16 next weekend. So we'll see if they're able to keep that
So,
going. But
can you talk to me about the fact that their best player really didn't play that well? Honestly, I felt like.
yeah, shout out
And
to one of our seniors, Mason Ackley. That was his defensive job. He locked in, and he actually that was probably the best anyone's guarded Logan Pearson all year.
yes,
Held him to 14 points on 14 shots, 5 for
yeah,
14. Logan Pearson, for those that don't know, Platteville's best player, 24 a game. I mean, this dude is up there for player of the year in the entire country. He's one of the best players in all
Shoot,
Division 3.
shooting 49% and 43 from three on the year,
Yes.
24 a game. Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
But
getting shots up and at an elite percentage, too.
yeah, they had scores, different scores. So credit to you guys shutting their best player down, and they kind of stepped up in other places. So you got to give them credit for that.
Exactly. That's what good teams do, right? They'll
Yep.
find ways no matter what you do to shut them down. Uh, they'll come back in other ways. And definitely shout out Max Love. He was one of those guys. He scored 27, I think. Came in only
Yeah.
averaging about 12 a game, so definitely blew past his average from the season. Um, Before we hear from Jack, quickly shout out our four seniors, uh, especially Justin Schrupp, Hunter Nielsen. They've been with us for 5 years. They left with the most wins in Bethany history: 3 championships, tourney championships, 2 regular season championships, 5 total conference championships for those guys. Definitely the most wins out of any player or players, I should say, uh, in Bethany history. So shout out to those guys. And then Mason and Xavier. came over from Superior. They played 2 seasons with us. They bought in immediately, and it says a lot about those two guys that after 1 season on our team, their teammates voted both of those guys captains for this year. So it says a lot about those guys. We're going to miss those four. Those four are irreplaceable to our program. That's for sure. So shout out to those four.
Love it. All right. On that awesome end of the season, let's hear from Jack.
All right, Spinny. The Pass Rusher episode 92. We got to start out on a little somber note, just like our headlines say. RIP Chris Mortensen. He passed away yesterday at the age of 92. He's been battling throat cancer for the last couple of years. Longtime NFL reporter. For those that don't know, anybody that follows NFL knows who this man is. Very good at his job. He'll be missed, so prayers up to his loved ones.
Yeah, you can tell the type of guy that he is from every single tweet, every single thing from
Right.
like every single person ever in the NFL, like
Yeah.
coaches, players, literally everyone, Peyton Manning, like everyone was super heartfelt stuff. And like Adam Schefter's was cool because those two were Sports Center, right? I mean, like
Right.
Mort lived in my childhood living room, man.
Literally.
Like literally. Because it was all the rumor news. It was all the stuff that you and I just absolutely love. We're just like waiting
Yeah.
on it, you know. And there was no like, especially early on, like there was no Twitter or like you didn't. It was just like watch SportsCenter and try to figure it out, or you like Google it on the computers at school. But like, you know, it wasn't as readily available, so I felt like it made it even more like special, you know.
Yeah, it definitely did. Grew up with him, man. It's crazy thinking about all the ESPN faces we've lost over these last couple of years. It's a lot. Even dating back, however many years that was to Stuart Scott. Like this was our childhood. So it's sad
Literally,
to see these guys go.
facts.
Scoring news. We'll start with college basketball. Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time scoring leader in men's and women's Division I basketball. Shout out to her. That is crazy. I mean, a record that stood for how many years? She beat Pistol Pete's record. I mean, what are we talking about here? She
That
beat
played
Kelsey
in black and
Plum.
white sometimes.
Yeah, my gosh. I think we played it from 68 to 70, if I remember correctly. Pistol Pete.
Yeah,
So, like, it's been standing for 50 years, basically. Like, just
literally.
absurd. What do you think about it, man?
Awesome, absolutely crazy. Uh, Yeah, she's awesome. She's crazy. It's gonna be, I mean, it made her announcement all the more exciting, and I don't know. I think a lot of these college players coming out right now, and she's like the leading one, can really make the WNBA something that could be like make money, you know, and really kind of change the landscape of the league, which would be cool, really cool to see. So hopefully, I'm hoping something like that can happen, and she's one of those players that can influence that, you know.
Facts. Did you see the Nike ad they did for her? Oh my God, it was so fire. A couple days before the
The
game, they released
Yep.
this giant paint or billboard or whatever of her.
Oh yeah, and then the one
Yeah,
across. Yeah,
shooting. And they're like, okay, whatever. And then they drop the commercial right when she breaks the record. And then they release the backboard, which is like down the street on a parking ramp, and it says it was never a long shot. It is so sick. Great storytelling by Nike. Please, please go look at that if you have not seen it. Again, shout out Kate and Clark for
literally.
breaking that record. I do want to quickly give Pistol Pete his flowers, though, because I'm sure a lot of you listeners don't know about Pistol Pete's scoring record. Back then, you could not play varsity as a freshman. So his scoring record is in 3 seasons instead of 4. 3, that's it. And he didn't have a three-point line. He scored 3,600 points, whatever the record was, with all twos. So in 3 years, with all twos, he scored that many points. He averaged like 44 a game for his college career. Many speculate. There was even a man, forgetting who it was, who went back and charted every single one of his shots, and based on like how far away it was and everything, he would have been close to about 57 a game if the 3-point line was implemented. So that's how, because he was shooting it
Woo!
from back then. Like he was
He
shooting from
was?
20 plus feet away. Not like
Yeah.
all the time, but I mean, there's a reason why in this last year in the NBA, the 3-point line was implemented. He went 10 for 15 on the season. 15 attempts, made 10 of them. Like, we're talking about one of the best scorers of all time. But either way, shout out to you, Caitlin Clark, for passing that record. That's amazing.
Did you see
Yep.
oh,
Did I
go
see
ahead.
what?
Do you have more on Caitlin Clark? Am I jumping the gun here? Okay. Just want a couple things to shout out. Indiana, uh, WNBA
Oh,
team ticket prices. Did you
yes.
see that?
Yeah.
Three times
It's
going from
ridiculous.
60 to like 180 a game average. Also, her and Aaliyah Boston together, who she might have been the best rookie we've seen in the WNBA in a long time. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. I know I mentioned that a little, but just wanted to shout that out really quick before we moved on. So let's get it,
That
Bus.
that is going to be nasty. Nasty duo. The other scoring mark we witnessed this weekend was LeBron hitting 40K. Obviously, we've never seen that in the NBA before, so that was special to see. Spinny, this man is the youngest player to hit every 1K scoring milestone in the NBA history. It makes no sense to me. The youngest ever to hit 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, so on and so on until 40K. It's absurd. Are we ever going to see anybody score 40K again?
All I saw on Twitter for the entire weekend was like how many points you'd have to average in how many seasons to get to 40K, and it's like the dumbest. Please tell me you saw that stuff.
I did. I am
Just the absolute dumbest. Like Luca's got to score 35 a game for like 15 seasons, and like I don't know if
this
we'll
what
ever
it is.
see
This is what
someone.
it is. Yeah. On average, over a 20-year career, if you played on average 67 games a season over 20 years, you would have to average 30 a game over 20 years to hit 40K. That's how absurd this is.
Absolutely wild. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the longevity looks like, as we get even more advanced and guys that are going to take care of their body, like LeBron on that level. Like, there probably will be someone, at some point, like, but it's going to be special, and it's going to stand for a long time. Like,
Right.
it's not one of those records that's going to be very quickly broken,
It's
that's
not
for
even
sure.
it's not even really longevity anymore. Like that's not even the right word. It's like sustained excellence. I mean,
Yeah.
he went from 30K to 40K in the same amount of games as he went from 0 to 10K. Like that's insane. We're talking the first years of his NBA career to late 30s, and he's did it in the same amount of games. Like that's just things I don't think we'll ever see again. That's insane.
Yeah, LeBron's crazy.
On to
We
contract
all know.
news. Yeah, we all know this. On to contract news. Mike Evans today signed a 2-year, $52 million contract, 35 guaranteed. What are your thoughts on this, Spinny?
I don't get it from Mike Evans' perspective. Like, as a Vikings fan, sure, or as a not Chiefs fan, I'm glad he's not on the Chiefs, but like, I'm surprised he didn't make something like that work, or Chargers, or I'm surprised there wasn't a
Some better
more
team was going to
powerhouse
give him
team.
35 mil guaranteed, right? You
Yes,
would
that's what I'm
think.
saying.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
there's
get it
so
either.
many teams I feel like that would give him 35 mil guaranteed. Baltimore, like, I feel like there's lots of teams that could be better, that could shell out that amount of
Yeah,
price,
when I
but
saw the money, I
who
thought it was
knows?
fleecing, honestly, for the Bucks to be
Yeah,
keeping
and
him.
I mean, I get it. He probably wants to stay with, the Bucks for his whole career. He's won his Super Bowl.
Right.
He's just trying to put up his yards and do his thing. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the
Does that
thing. I feel
solidify
like
Baker coming back then, you think?
maybe, but Baker said he's not taking a discount either. But like, if none of these guys are taking a discount and none of these teams are paying them what they want, like something's got to give at some point.
Right,
So
right.
it'll just be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, for sure. Switching gears to baseball contract, Zach Wheeler announced today signed a 3-year, $126 million extension. The $42 million annual average salary is the highest for an extension in MLB history, believe it or not. He will be the fourth highest paid starting pitcher next year, behind Shohei, Scherzer, and Verlander. Obviously, Shohei, we know he's deferring a lot of his money, but still. Isn't that crazy? $42 million, highest ever for an extension, Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's more like an NBA contract, it feels like you get that shorter contract, 2-year player extension after it would be the NBA style, but like it's
Right.
more of that NBA vibe. A lot of money, get it right away, not this longevity that you see from MLB contracts, which is probably why he got so much.
I mean, he is
I
like
think for
34, 35. Like, he's getting up
yeah, and I think for the Phillies, they'd rather pay you a bunch of money when you're going to be really, really good
there. Right.
than drag it out and, maybe save you a little less per year, but you have to pay him on the books when he's not necessarily the level you want him to be.
Right. And also from this perspective, it is definitely worth it. In total, in his Phillies tenure, dating back to his original contract that he signed with them, it will be 8 years, $244 million he will earn as a Philly, which is 30 and a half AAV, which is he's worth $30 million. Let's be real. He is a very
Yeah,
good pitcher, definitely a top 10 pitcher in the league. So he's worth 30 million a year.
definitely.
And they already re-signed Nola a couple weeks ago. So to get your 1-2 back in there when you're obviously still trying to win, being how good they've been these last 2 years, definitely a good move by the Phillies. Even though I hate to say it, because obviously screw all Philadelphia teams. Speaking of Philadelphia teams, our last headline:
Oh,
Jason Kelce officially retired today. Had a press conference, announced it. He's regarded as one of the best centers of all time. 13 years, all with the Eagles. Spinny. In those 13 years, he won a Super Bowl. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler and a 6-time first team All Pro. Very impressive. Basically, half his career he made first team All Pro.
especially at center where it's one person. He was the best
One.
center for 6 of his 13 seasons. The
Exactly.
best. Like,
Insane.
clearly. So, that is absolutely insane.
Shout out Jason Kelsey, man. I can't wait to listen to New Heights episode. I'm sure they'll be dropping one later this week. And he's going
Do
to
you
have to
think
talk about it.
he's gonna go more crazy on New Heights now, probably, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's going to have nothing
Now,
else to do besides take care of his kids.
literally. Well, and like now it doesn't matter. You don't have an organization to represent all that.
Right. He can now actually say whatever he wants, truly.
Literally.
All right, Spinny. Time for the fun one now. Hard as Horrors. We're going to do dubs and L's. We're bringing it back. It's been since episode 81. And at that time, we didn't talk any of our NFL stuff. So we have all of our NFL preseason takes to discuss here. That's mainly what we will be talking about. Spinny, should we start with our good takes or our terrible ones?
Up to you. Your call.
Let's go, Dubs. We always got to
Let's
start with the
go.
good ones. From episode 70, preseason records, where we literally went through every single team schedule and what we thought their record would be. Smaller one, I had Bills winning the division exactly at 11-6, which they did win the division at 11-6.
Shout out Miami for that collapse. Keeping me
Yeah,
away from getting that one. That's big
yep.
tough.
Another smaller one. I said the Rams could win up to 10 games. They did win 10 games. Not a lot of people anticipated that. Roasted. Spenny, this is a shared dub here from episode 70. We were roasting people for saying the Bears would go over 500. So many people thought that
Yes.
before the season, and
Yes.
me and you were
Let's
not
go
having
on
any of
that.
that shit.
I couldn't have been more confident on anything than that though,
Yeah,
honestly. Like my confidence level was insanely high.
yeah. I'm like, what are we talking about? This team was literally the worst in the NFL the year before, and you guys all think they're going to go over 500 now? Like, come on. People literally had Fields winning MVP for the season.
Yeah.
Idiots. And my last one from that
Wild.
episode, I said the Panthers would be one of the worst teams in the NFL. What happened? They were actually the worst team in the NFL. So those are some of my dubs from episode 70, the preseason episode. What'd you get, Spinny?
Well, dubs from episodes. Or do I have to go through episode 70, or can I
You
do
can do
whatever I
whatever you
want?
want. I just grouped
Okay,
all of them.
lit. See, we're not as groupy as you. I was just jumping all over the board here. So, first up on my list was Adrian Griffin, which is wild because I had him on the hot seat long before he was fired. But I don't really feel like he's deserved to be fired, especially given what we've seen
Right.
from Doc Rivers recently. So, like, yes, I was right, but I still feel like it's big tough for Adrian Griffin. So, I
Big
don't
tough for
know.
the
I don't
Bucks in
know.
general.
Yeah, I don't know what we're thinking about what's going on with the Bucks there. I mean, they're gonna figure it out. Like, there's this super
Right.
dysfunction right now, but like next year, like Dame and Giannis are gonna figure it out. It's Dame and Giannis. Like, I'm not worried at all, honestly, about them in the long term. But for this year, for my squad, the C's in the East, it's looking real good. It might be their year, Bus. Not the future predict in dubs and L's, but it might be their year.
It might be. Or are we going to see them choke like they always do?
No, come on. They've choked too. They've choked enough. They've worked. They put their work in. They've
No
took
losing to
their
the no
fat
losing to the eight
L's.
seed Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals again, or what?
They've taken their fat L's already. They have more losing experience in the playoffs than anybody, but they got closer and closer. I just feel like it's going to happen.
No, I hear you, man. It actually might be their year. They're on an absurd tear this year. It's actually ridiculous. Another one. This one's from episode 71, where we talked about playoffs and award predictions before the NFL season started. I had the Chiefs winning the AFC. Obviously, that wasn't a super bold prediction, but out of all five of us on the episode, me, you, Brady, Bradley, and George Fisk, I was the only one to have the Chiefs win the AFC. So that's why I'm taking that one as a dub. Also, I had CMC, my only preseason award that was correct. I had CMC winning the Offensive Player of the Year, which he, in fact, did. So, dub for me there.
Like that. Uh, Miles Garrett, DPOY.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
will
say,
take
you had
that
one from
dub.
there. Yeah.
Yep. That was not, again, not like that one was super crazy, but why didn't I pick the Chiefs more? Like, I just wanted to be different sometimes, and I just need to just go with
Hey,
go with
your
the
other
reliable.
you chose the Ravens though, so it's
Yeah, I
not like you
did.
were way off. Like you chose the team
No,
that lost in the
yeah.
AFC ship, so you were pretty close.
Ah, that was just um a very tough one. Another nice dub for me though. The regular season NFL picks,
You
but
know, I knew you were gonna say that.
yeah.
Get out of here, man.
How does that W feel?
Not to mention, you beat me in college football bowl games too. That's tough for me. But
Yeah, that
let's
one
be
was just
real.
too
Who
easy that it was expected.
who won when it mattered the most? I beat you in the NFL playoff
Oh,
challenge, so that's my dub. My last one on the list,
yeah,
man. Come on. You picked against the Chiefs twice in a row. That might be your biggest sell you ever had on this pod.
yeah. That is on this list. Chiefs twice in a row
Okay.
is written on my notes.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Spinny's L list was a lot longer this time, so
Same. Same. You have any more dubs? Otherwise, I'll shout out some guest dubs that we had.
yeah, get some guest dubs going.
So, shout out to George Fisk. He had the 49ers as a one seed. Again, not that crazy of a take, but he was the only one out of us five that picked 49ers to be the one seed in the NFC. That's kind of crazy. Shout out to Bradley. He had the Packers in the playoffs in the preseason. A lot of people did not think that would happen. Shout out to
Including
Brady.
us.
Brady, yes, including us. Brady also had the Packers in the playoffs and was the only one out of all of us to have the Steelers also in the playoffs. So two dubs for Brady there. All right, lead us off with the L's, man. Let's hear them. The bad ones. Freezing cold takes.
We're gonna start with one that I'm only gonna use one from this episode because we're gonna save it for its actual completion. But at this point, this current one is so hellish that
I
it
think I know
has to be brought
what to
up
say.
now.
I think I know.
And that is the Spurs over under and having them in the playoffs preseason. That L needed to be said now. Obviously 13 wins. Over unders I think 28 and a half. So yeah, pretty Cookie Monster for the Spurs and for my take.
That
So
is,
that one is Elish enough to be brought up right now currently.
yeah. Next time we do dubs and L's, when we run through all of those, that's got to be the worst one that any of us have.
Oh, oh.
Like, they're not even close to their over/under mark. That is hilarious. Uh, I guess I'll start. These are smaller ones, but I'll stick to the NBA path here. I took some trade deadline L's, as I always do, for thinking that the Bulls would just not want to be in purgatory like they always just seem to be. I was
Dude,
so confident, so
GMs be
confident.
getting you. That's 2 years in a row. The Raptors be getting you
Masai,
last year, and
whoever the
then
hell the GM is for the Bulls, those two
they just be
little
getting
fuckers.
you, ass.
Oh my gosh. So I was so confident the Bulls would trade two of the guys of Levine, Caruso, DeRozan. What happens? They trade zero of them. Like, what are we talking about? Come on. I also was extremely confident the Warriors would trade one of CP3, Clay, or Wiggins. Again, didn't trade any of them. So those are my two noticeable dubs from episode 89. We talked about the trade deadline.
That's tough for Wiggins too. All the stuff going on with him. I don't exactly know
Yeah,
what it is, but it
2 years in
just
a row, man.
yeah,
Can't be
he
great.
was just going so good for him with the Warriors. It felt like, and then just not quite where it needs to be. Okay, we're just going in orders of insaneness, so we're gonna go back to the NFL for my next L,
Is this a shared
and
one?
this is the one that would have been my headline had Mort not
Oh,
taken my
your
headline.
worst no from the
The
NFL season.
worst one from the NFL season, and that is the Jags. I wish I could replay what I said because I think I don't know if you have the quote word for word, but something like I can't wait to replay this for you all over and over again. And yeah, that was the Jags going 14-3, being the 1 seed and winning the AFC South. All of which definitely did not happen.
Here you go.
CJ Stroud,
This
yeah,
is
go ahead.
and sorry, hardest Hardos. We should have had a little video pop up for y'all so you could see it. Go back to the episode if you really want to see it. But you said can't wait for the Jags to go 14-3 and Lawrence win MVP so I can play this back for you guys every time I see you. You said that to
Yeah,
me, Brady, Bradley, and George.
yep, yep. And they should be on right now to rub that in my face because that was horrendous take. CJ Stroud outplayed Trevor Lawrence last season as a rookie, which is wild and that's something I did not see coming at all. Also, so just complete L's in the AFC South, and the Colts are good too, apparently.
Yeah, that literally transitions perfectly to a shared L we have. We both said, and quote, slamming the under for Colts and Texans only at 6.5 wins. We were so confident that we said we were going to slam the under. Colts finished 9-8, and the Texans went 10-7 and made the playoffs. So yeah, clearly way off on the AFC South. And we both said slamming the over and said it was the biggest lock in the NFL for 9.5 wins for the Jags. They only won 9 games. Why do
Oh,
we always have to use that verbatim, man? Like let's just tone it back a little bit when we give takes.
or
Because that's
just
bad.
pick better locks,
Right.
apparently.
Right,
Because
right,
oof. Another one that I was very confident in and did not see anything about this coming, and I still don't know why it happened, honestly. And that is the Eagles collapse. The Eagles winning
right. Same.
the NFC. What I do you get it? Because I don't. I really
They were
don't.
10-1, right?
Yeah,
And they finished 11-6. Like what are we
yeah.
like how? They got
I don't
dubbed
know.
first round of the playoffs by Baker Mayfield.
And we kind of knew it. It
We
felt
knew it.
like something was
Yeah,
off. It's just I don't know.
I
Absolute
still don't get it.
craziness. And then obviously picking against the Chiefs twice. Set myself up for failure, obviously, with that, so I can take my own blame on that.
Damn, you weren't lying, man. You did take some nasty L's.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Ones.
actually a pretty brutal list. I'm not gonna lie. My last one though, also from episode 70. Apparently, I am just an idiot, and I just continue to have faith in the Chargers every single year. I don't know why I do this to myself. I
Yeah.
abandoned them. I had them going 10-7. They finished 5-12. Spinny 5-12. Like what? Like I
I
am
am
done
gonna have
thinking this
faith
is
in
the
the
Chargers year.
Chargers.
I'm done.
No, this is the Chargers year,
No,
though.
I'm done.
The
I don't
Kool
care.
Aid, I'm drinking it. This year, I'm drinking the shit out of it.
I don't care about Harbaugh. I'm done.
This Harbaugh can feed me the Chargers bandwagon juice in a hose this year.
They have entered the I will not pick them anymore until they prove me wrong phase. Like
But I
that's
believe
where
in
they're at.
Harbaugh. Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh. That's all you gotta think about.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good. All right, you have any more L's? I'll shout out a couple guest
Let's
L's
get
we
to the
had
guest
from our
Ellie's.
boys here. Fisk, his L's from the episodes. He had Bills missing playoffs. He had Jets to the Super Bowl, and he had Rodgers winning MVP. Those are some pretty bad L's for you, George Fisk. Brady Rose also had the Jets going to the Super Bowl. He had the Dolphins missing the playoffs, and he had the Giants as a 5 seed. Tough.
The Giants.
The Giants.
Got it.
And Bradley, his biggest L's, his Super Bowl matchup was Bills Cowboys, two of the most notorious chokers there are. That was his Super Bowl matchup.
That is
And he
Choker
had
Bowl.
Justin Herbert winning MVP. Tough.
Yeah, Staley could never.
Yeah.
Jim, though, faith.
All right, we'll see. All right, Spinny, now it's time. Instead of a too early mock draft this year, we're going to just focus more on draft needs for all the teams, considering our too early drafts are obviously never even close to right. So we'll give you a full mock draft, closer to the actual NFL draft, which is towards the end of April. So, Carolina, Washington, New England. Bears obviously own the Carolina's pick. So Bears, Washington, Patriots. Top 3 picks. These teams all need quarterbacks, right? I think that's pretty obvious. What order do you think the QBs will go? Assuming it's May, Daniels, and Williams as the top 3.
This is tough. Williams is going number 1. Unless the only way Caleb doesn't go 1 is if we see like an Eli Manning type situation where
Right.
he's like, I'm not going to play for you, because there's been
Right.
talk about how much he wants to play for Washington. So we'll see on that. But other than that, he's going 1. And then it's tough. I like Jaden Daniels, I think, a touch more. But I think the Commanders like Drake May a touch more. So I think it's going to
Great.
be traditional Williams, May, and Daniels.
Okay.
Top 3.
I'm with you there. My second question for these 3 teams. Do you think any of these 3 surprise and not even pick a QB or just trade out of this spot entirely?
Yeah, I think there's a chance Washington does that. I think they have the biggest chance, given that we did see
Not
some
pick a QB or to just trade out. Which one do you think they're
to
more
trade
likely
out,
to do?
to trade out. Because I think they have a roster to rebuild now. They own 5 top 100 picks in 2024, so like
Oh,
they could trade
yeah.
back and get 2 or 3 more picks this year, and it'd be insane the amount of roster building they'd be able to do. And Sam Howell showed some good things last year. It wasn't perfect,
Right.
wasn't always great, but like he did pretty well. And if we're building up
And
the
then more
roster around
weapons.
him,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think there could be some selling going on there. I don't think New England always has a chance to trade out, even without Belichick. I think there's always a chance there, but I I just don't think it's Mac Jones, and I don't think anyone in the locker room or on the
And
staff believes it's Mac Jones. So you got to
and
take somebody.
and a new face. Like I would just be shocked if they don't pair a QB with the new face in the building.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Like that's usually
yeah,
how teams go.
and the Patriots don't get picks this high, so it's like you
Right.
got to kind of send it.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement there. Picks 4 and 5. Cardinals at 4. Chargers at 5. Similar needs here. I think this is the Marvin Harrison range. I think he's going to one of these 2 teams. Cardinals already said they're recommitting to Kyler Murray for at least another year, so they will not be drafting a quarterback here. Obviously, the Chargers need a ton of weapons too, given that Mike Williams can never stay healthy and Keenan Allen is really old, even though he was very good last year. He's very old. Um, so I think Marv is a lock to go to one of these two teams. I do think the other team should probably take an O line. I feel like both those teams need O line too. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for those two teams.
Yeah, I have a hard time if Arizona keeps their pick not taking Marv just with the commitment to Kyler. Like, it just makes
Right.
sense, I guess, given
Yeah.
especially today's NFL and all that. So I either think they trade back and there's a team like at 6, 7, 8, like the Giants, Tennessee, or Atlanta, especially if Atlanta makes a play for one of the quarterbacks in free agency and then wants to pair London, London, Harrison, and Pitts with a veteran quarterback and go for the win now type situation. I could see something going on with any of those teams to try to get up to 4 to take Marv.
Yeah, I could see that too. Because yeah, in the 6, 7, 8 range, Giants, Titans, Falcons, like you just said, I think there's going to be another receiver here. Whether it's Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, whoever it is, Titans obviously need weapons. Giants obviously need weapons. I could see both of those teams picking a quarterback. Atlanta, I think, needs a line. If they're going to go after a vet QB, they already have young weapons everywhere. If they stay at pick 8, they need O line or defense, obviously, because they need more tune ups on defensive end anywhere. So
Do you
I'm
think
expecting
Brock
O
Bowers
line,
could
and
fit in here?
I think he could, right? I mean, he's a big body, he's a weapon. He answers that need for both the Giants and the Titans. Titans, obviously, they're not sold on Chigoziem Okonkwo or whatever his name is their tight end one. Darren Waller can't ever finish a whole season either for the Giants. So he could go in this range. I thought even potentially at pick 5 to the Chargers, even for that matter.
Our team's going to be scared of it because of Pitts, you know?
I think so. I'm saying
Yeah,
I could see him going in this range. Um, but as you guys will see on my mock draft in about a month, I'm going to have him going a little lower.
like that.
Bears second pick 9. I think it's pretty obvious they just need to pick another receiver. They need to go after Neighbors or Dunze if one of them is still available at this point. They need another weapon for their newly drafted QB1, Caleb Williams. Put him alongside DJ Moore. That'd be a nice duo for Williams to throw to.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I think they should go. I think there's a chance. It's the Bears, though, right? I think there's a chance they go on defense as well.
Yeah, which wouldn't be bad. Obviously, they need more tune-ups there too.
No, pass rusher could be another pass rusher could be
They
good for
did.
them as
They
well.
did just trade for Montez Sweat, locked him up
They
again.
did.
So who knows? Jets pick 10. To
Gotta be
me,
an old lineman, right?
I'm only seeing O line as as a
Yeah,
possibility here. They have a young,
yeah,
good defense already. They have young weapons already. They have Rodgers. Like what else? You need to pick an O line. Like their O line's trash.
agreed.
Vikings pick 11. Here we go, Spinny. Obviously, this all hinges on Kirk. We will not know what's going on with pick 11 until we know what's going on with Kirk Cousins. So let's answer that question right now. Do you want Kirk Cousins re-signed? Yes or no?
Yes, I
You do.
want him resigned.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I
So,
would pay him.
based under that assumption that Kirk is re-signed, what do you want us to pick at 11 then?
It's got to be defense at 11. I feel
Yes,
like you got to
100%.
try to get playmaker somewhere, corner, D end, especially with Daniil. Like the odds of us getting Hunter, Jefferson, and Cousins, like I don't know. I mean that would be best case scenario, but I feel like that's a little bit of a pipe dream. So given that, I think pass rusher could be Hunter could be gone, could be the one that isn't resigned, but we'll see.
This guy would likely go before pick 11. Dallas Turner, immediate name to pop up. He went dummy at the combine, freak athlete, pass rusher from Alabama. If he's available at 11, I would definitely take him. Same with it all depends on where I know he's starting to fall due to some injury concerns, but even another Alabama player, Kool Aid McKinstry, corner. I think he could be a stud in the NFL. So if we resign Kirk, I'm with you. We need to draft a defense player for sure. Say we don't resign Kirk. Are you buying this BS that we should pick JJ McCarthy at pick 11? Please tell me no.
No, I think JJ is way too Christian Ponder. It just feels like Christian Ponder all over again. We're like, this guy's probably should go around pick 20, but like we like him. We're kind of at this weird spot. It's like I'd rather wait and take one of those later quarterbacks and take someone good here and just risk it.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like AJ McCarron, a guy who was good in college, but the majority of his production, the majority of what he did was hand the ball off to elite running backs and rely on your elite defense to stop the other team, right? Like I feel like that's like kind of a perfect comparison.
The only thing about McCarthy is he did get better every year.
He did,
And
for
so
sure.
you do got to give him credit for that. The passer he was by the end of Michigan was not the passer he was at the beginning. So, like, if he can do that there, there is potential he can do that in the NFL, especially with a good head coach to coach him as a quarterback as we have. So, there are upsides to it. I would try my best to be positive, but I don't want it.
I just don't think he's the 11th best prospect in this draft. Like I just don't. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a
Yeah.
reach if he's picked there.
And I feel
Picks
like this next pick has to be that
exactly.
position.
Picks 12, 13, 14. I think if they don't go quarterback, defense is needed by all three of these teams. It is Denver, Raiders, and the Saints at 12, 13, 14. I would expect one of the Broncos or Raiders to pick a QB though, right? So maybe
Yeah.
this is where JJ goes is to one of these teams. I think New Orleans though. I just think they need defense. Obviously, they're committed to Carr already. They still have some weapons on the offensive end. Maybe they want to get another weapon alongside since Thomas obviously will never stay healthy alongside Chris Olave. But other than that, I think they should probably tune up their defense. Pick 15, the Colts. This one's interesting for me, Spinny. I think this is a potential landing spot for Bowers. Assuming
That
he's
would be fun.
right.
I
They
would
need
love to see
weapons.
Bowers and Richardson. Like you again, we're throwing Lamar comparisons out there a little bit, but you think the Lamar Andrews comparison with Richardson and Bowers and how well that's worked, and then the big bodied receiver out wide and Michael Pitt, like they're kind of building that Ravens model there on offense with Shane
Right.
Steichen, and he's shown what he can do with Gardner Minshew. So I think Richardson's looking as good of a position as anybody, but they obviously need weapons. That's the number one need for them is putting weapons around them.
So you do agree with the weapons in general? Then they should go weapons
Yes,
here at 15. I like Bowers. I just like Bowers at the spot because he's also elite pass blocker too. So like and
true.
run blocker. Like he's good at blocking. That's why he draws so many comparisons to like a Gronk. So he can kind of do it all. Pick 16 and 17. I'm thinking defense here. Seahawks, Jags, fringe playoff teams last year. Defenses were pretty mid. So I'm expecting defensive players to go in this range. Are you with me? Or are you thinking something else?
I am, but I could potentially see if this player is going to get stolen a lot earlier than we think. I think there's a shot that Michael Penix gets drafted by Seattle here.
Seattle? Yeah.
New coach, kind of wants
I
to
could see
take a
that.
shot. Washington, all the connections. So I think that could be a shot, but most likely I would agree with you. They're going to be on defense.
Kind of same with this team. Bengals somehow still almost made the playoffs without Joe Burrow. They obviously have a shit ton of weapons. They're apparently planning on tagging T. Higgins and giving Jamar Chase an extension. So they're still going to have all these weapons on the offensive end. They're going to let Tyler Boyd go. I did see, but with those two, who cares about your WR3 and those are your WR1 and 2? I would be shocked if they don't go defense at pick 18.
I think O line has an off chance to be taken here as well.
Sure.
Um, just given Burrow and all that, but yeah, most likely defense for both of these teams. And you kind of brought this up, so I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit. The Rams at 19.
Rams at 19. They made the playoffs, so you would think maybe they would, just want more tune-ups on the defensive end, whether it be pass rush. Donald's obviously getting old. They don't really have anybody else. But I think this would be an interesting team for Penix or JJ if he's still on the board. Stafford is so old. He has all the shoulder issues that he's been having these last couple of years. This truly might be his last year in the NFL this upcoming season. So sit a guy, especially if people think JJ and Penix would benefit from sitting a year. I've seen a lot of talk about that. Then who better to sit behind Matt Stafford? He's been a great quarterback throughout his entire career. He won a Super Bowl. So yeah, I could see them going that route. I really could. What do you think about the Rams?
Yeah, you brought that up, and I hadn't really even thought about for them, but it's not a crazy thought, especially if JJ falls or one of these quarterbacks jumps up at the last second. Tennessee's guys throwing 75 yards at the combine, so somebody might be sold on him, even though he can't complete an accurate pass. But um, so it could be something wild here from the Rams, and I thought that was a good take.
20 through 22, I kind of think all need the same. That is the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. I think defense here, especially for the Eagles, secondary needs to be addressed for sure. I expect them to go corner or safety with that pick. Uh, Steelers obviously usually have a good defense, so I could see them going wide receiver here. There's talks that Deontay Johnson might get traded potentially. If he's on the move, they would definitely need another receiver. Other than that, that's just kind of the Steelers' mold, right? They just love picking defensive players in the first round. They picked around this pick last year. They picked Joey Porter Jr. And then the Dolphins, obviously, their defense should have been good, but they were just ravaged by injuries all season. They already let Xavier Howard go, so I expect them to address their secondary needs as well.
Yeah, Pittsburgh loves going defense, and they still have holes to fill. It seems like they're going to go with Kenny Pickett for another year, so it just seems likely. I think if one of the receivers falls, that could be a potential slide, like you said, with the Deontay trade, potentially looming. Miami, it really depends. I think they're going to go free agency, for some stuff on their defense. They have a little bit of cap space, so I think that'll kind of determine a lot which area of defense they really go to. Um, and then Philly, obviously, it has to be on defense and most likely in the secondary, especially with the age that they're talking about.
Texans pick 23. I think this is another team that needs to go defense. They don't have enough on the defensive end. They have the young defensive coach and D'Amico Ryans. They have some pieces like Will Anderson to build around. So just keep adding guys back there, whether it be secondary or pass rush, either one. Um, Obviously, one could make the argument for an offensive weapon here, but I did really like the connection between CJ Stroud and Nico Collins last year and with Tank Dell before his season ending injury. So I do think those two are good weapons. And there's rumors that Saquon Barkley wants to go to Houston. So they're able to get him with all the cap space they have. They definitely should address their defense at this pick.
Yeah, especially on like a 1 or 2 year deal type situation with Saquon, they could
Right.
pay him a lot right now when they don't have to pay anybody, and then he would be off the cap by the time they have to pay all these guys. So I could definitely see that going down for them. I think O line is always an option too, trying to protect Stroud. They probably
True.
need at
Good
least one
point.
more guard. So that also could be an option there here for them.
Dallas, pick 24. I think they need to go O-line. They're letting
O
Tyron
line
Smith.
for days.
Yes. Tyron Smith is being let go. Their O line was not very good last year. They obviously already have weapons on both sides of the football. O line is basically one of the few needs that Cowboys have.
Yep. Pollard
Pick
also
25.
free agent, so
Pollard is?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, Tony Pollard is a free agent, so that could also be, depending on what happens with him, could
Oh, did they
affect
tag
their
him
draft
last
as
year?
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Pick 25. Packers. Division rival here. I'd be shocked if they don't go defense. Packers always seem to pick a defensive player in the first round.
I didn't even have to think about this one.
Right.
I can't name an offensive player they take in the first round. So
And all the
other than
receivers are
Jordan Love,
young as hell. Their quarterback,
yeah,
Jordan Love, is young. Their tight ends are young. They've drafted 2 tight ends last year.
yeah,
So,
they don't need anybody on offense.
yeah, literally. Tampa Bay, the Bucks, pick 26. A lot of this, I think, hinges on Baker Mayfield, right? They don't re-sign him. This could be an interesting spot for Michael Penix, assuming he's a late first-round pick. If they bring him back, I think they need to go O-line if they bring Baker back because their O-line also isn't very good. They already made the playoffs. They just re-signed Mike Evans. You should go get O-line and protect Baker.
Agreed. I mean that is definitely where they have to go if, like you said, Baker comes back. I think that's what's hard about this early draft too, right? Is free agency will dictate a lot of these things, especially later
Right.
here. And a lot of these teams also are going to have to take best player available. You know, that's a lot
Yeah,
of what's
for
going to be
sure.
going on here as well. Like what type of players were drafted early, who's left, especially teams like Houston, Dallas, and Green Bay and that area. They're going to be looking for those types of situations as well.
Pick 27, the Cardinals. Isn't that crazy? We were so convinced the Cardinals were about to have 2 top 5 picks this
I
year, and
know.
the
I should have put
Texans
that
picked
on
this
Dubs and L's as
27.
well. Yeah.
Wow, insane. What do you think the Cards should do here with their second pick?
This is the best player available. Their roster needs completely
100%.
rebuilt.
Yes.
So just take the best player available.
Yes. 100%. Bills, pick 28. It all depends on who's left on the board. I think it's time to find a Diggs replacement. That relationship seems
Mm.
to keep getting worse and worse. I don't know how much longer he will be on the team. If anything, I'd be shocked if this wasn't his last year. I'm kind of expecting this to be Diggs' last year on the team. And as we know, Gabe Davis clearly cannot be WR2. Screw Gabe Davis for all the times he's screwed me in fantasy football. Times that I believe in
JK
him
Gabe
every
Davis, we
single
love
year.
you.
No, we don't. We hate him.
No, we love you, Gabe Davis.
What do you think about the Bills? Otherwise, defense, right?
Yeah,
Defense is so old.
yeah, and they lost Tremaine Edmonds, so I think
That's true.
linebacker is an option here late.
Yep.
But yeah, receiver or linebacker are probably two biggest needs for Buffalo.
We have the Lions coming in at pick 29. I think this is very clearly a defensive player.
Pass rusher.
Pass rush,
They
yes.
need somebody other than Aiden Hutchinson who can get near the
Correct.
quarterback.
Correct. And their offense is already loaded, so why the hell would they pick another offensive player? Pass rush, even though I hope they mess it up and don't do that because I don't want to see the Lions being as good as they were this year. Pick 30 to 32, the Super Bowl contenders, Ravens, Niners, Chiefs. Man, I think this is probably just best player available for all these teams, huh? Or do you have more of a
Yeah,
specific need?
well, I think Baltimore, probably old lineman, Ronnie Stanley, you kind of saw maybe take a little bit of a
Good
step
point.
back. Their other right tackle, I can't think of his name right now, but he's an older player in the league as well. And then both their guards are free agents. So both their starting guards from last year are free agents. So that kind of leaves that door
They
open.
should
So I
definitely
think,
go O line.
yeah, especially the way Baltimore plays, they'll probably go O-line. Niners will take best player available. Their roster's kind of stacked everywhere, so they're
Right.
just going to try to get extra guys. It could be on defense as well, obviously, for them. I think there's a good chance the Chiefs take a receiver. I think there's a chance if any of those guys with first round talent or speed are available, they try to get someone in that style.
It's so funny how I've already been seeing like people linking Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me that when people run so damn fast in the 40, they are just immediately thrown into the first round. Like Xavier
Yep.
Worthy before his 40 was projected as a late third, early fourth round pick, and now people are literally saying he might go pick 32 to the Chiefs. Like
Yep.
he just jumped that far just because he ran in a straight line that fast.
Really fast. Yep.
John Ross,
Awesome.
another guy that immediately comes to mind, the record he broke. What happened? He jumped into the first round and was terrible in the NFL. Like, Not
True.
saying Xavier Worthy is for sure going to be terrible, but he fits that mold. Super fast receiver, basically only can run fly routes.
Yeah,
It's
Troy
just
Williamson. Yeah,
I mean, there's how many? I mean,
there's 1,000.
I don't want to
There's
say
only
his
like
name considering he's in jail, but Henry Ruggs, another one. He went all the way up to top 15 pick.
yeah, and there's very few of those type of receivers that are actually good in the NFL, I feel
That's what I'm
like.
saying. Yeah,
Deshaun Jackson breaks the rule, but there's very few of guys like that.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's it. Those are our team needs for the draft. Everything's heating up, man. I can't wait. Can't wait. There's gonna be so many rumors over this next month and a half. It's gonna drive me insane. And I will also not be able to sleep until we figure out what's going on with Kirk Cousins. Like it is driving me insane, Spinny.
Broncos officially cutting Russell Wilson, going to take $85 million in dead cap.
85 billion.
$85 million.
Bruh. That's gotta be the most ever.
Yeah, absolutely wild. Creates largest dead cap hit in league history.
Oh.
Wild.
Remember a couple episodes ago when we saluted the Raptors for finally embracing the tank? Well, it seems like they're
Yep.
just back to purgatory mode, extending
Signing
Kelly
Kelly.
Olynyk. Extending
Got it.
Kelly Olynyk. 13 mil a year. Okay. Interesting. All right, Spinny, before we head out here, I do have a couple Q&As for you. Some things that have been going on lately. Court storming is one of them. What are your thoughts? I'm sure you saw the video of Phil Pawski banging knees with that player or that fan and immediately playing in the next game, including throwing down a windmill dunk. So clearly he's just fine. Either way, what are your thoughts on court storming? Do you think it needs to be banned, or are you just not about that at all? I'm just telling them Duke players to suck it up.
I don't know where I am here. I
Well,
I
I'll tell you
think
where I'm at.
injury. Okay, hold on. I think injury is something you have to consider a little bit, but court
100%.
storming is also iconic. So, like, is there a way to
Exactly.
like actually make them wait until the players get off and then letting them storm the court? I don't know, or some type of procedure to get the players off the court better, or something.
Right.
But I I I would look for solutions before I completely ban something.
Right. I'm completely with you there. Definitely more safety measures need to be taken. But you can't ban court storming. This is what college basketball is. Like it's such an iconic thing, college basketball. Now that specific time was BS because Wake Forest is in Duke's conference. So I just find that stupid when a conference team storms the court, especially Wake Forest was favored in the game. They were a 2-point favorite in the game. So why are you storming the court? Yes, you're unranked. Yes, they're a top 10 team in the country. You should not be storming the court when you're actually favored, right? Like, come on.
Why was Wake Forest favored in that game?
Because they actually have like 19 wins this year,
Oh, okay.
surprisingly. So they're like already on the cuff of like being ranked.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't ban it. Like, let's be real, you just can't. It's
No.
awesome, and the only teams, also if you think about it from this perspective, the only teams that care about this are Duke, UNC, your teams that are always good because that's who's getting stormed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wake Forest is never going to have a team storm their court after they lose. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's only
Yeah.
certain teams, a select few, that this happens to.
Also,
Ma-
like, just come up with better procedures to get the players off the court faster.
Yes, 100%. All right, All Star game now. What do you think needs to be done to improve the All Star game? Obviously, very, very high scoring this year. A lot of people were complaining about it. So, what do you think? Also, I just quick comment about it. Ant, a young player in this league, a guy who you think should care. I think both of us picked him to win it All-Star Game MVP. Before the game said we don't care about this game. So even the young players don't seem to care about this game.
Make it for home court in the finals. Do it.
You think so?
Boom. Yes. Do it. 100%. I think so.
I
You
can't.
want to get people to care instantly? Boom. Caring now.
Right. I like that, but the reason why I'm hesitant against it is because, like, this year, for example, say the East won, so it's fine. But say the West won, you're really gonna punish the Celtics, who should clearly have home court through the NBA Finals. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I
Make
don't know.
Tatum and Brown care about it. Make the
I think,
best team's
dude, those
players,
two actually try.
the best team's players who are the players that are going to be in the All Star game should care about it. And that would be the way to make the best team's players care about it.
I obviously think more money obviously would help. Not that these guys need more money, but they're obviously
Yeah.
motivated by money. So offer
Yeah, I
them
mean,
more
$2
money
million
for winning.
dollars is $2 million, whatever, you know.
It's only like 100 grand per player though.
Yeah. That's what I
Make it
mean. But
like
if you
500
upped
grand
it to
a player.
like, yeah, or 2 mil, then I
You
feel
have
like
all
you
this
get
money
some.
from these corporate sponsors for the game, right? So it's like
Yeah.
they can give a little more money to the players. That could be another solution. Shout out to Bill Simmons. He thought of this. Actually, no, it wasn't even Bill Simmons. I think it was Draymond Green. Draymond Green said this on his podcast. Remove all the pregame BS. It's hard for players; they can't go through their normal game routine. How do you expect them to play like an actual game when they're basically standing around for 40 minutes before the game starts? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remove all that pregame BS so they can actually go through their pregame routine, pregame warm-ups, and everything, so that it can actually feel like a real game. I thought that was an
Yeah.
interesting point. Something simple, and obviously
Yeah.
could it be
That is not a
implemented?
bad take.
But let's be real. Is there fixing this game? I don't think there is.
Probably not.
Literally,
Because
the only solution is
they aren't willing to do something like make the finals home team on it, you know. That's the level of something. It doesn't have to be that, but it has to be that level of something for them to like really care.
correct. Correct. Last question here: dunk contest. What should be done to fix the dunk contest? This was getting a lot of complaints as well. Some people were even suggesting them just getting rid of it entirely.
I didn't
Saying,
hate the dunk contest this year.
I
Honestly
didn't
didn't.
either. I really didn't. But a lot of points were being made that one, we had two G leaguers in the event. This is supposed to be the NBA All Star game. Like, shout out Mac, he's back to back champion. He was obviously great this year and last year. But don't you think it should be NBA players at this event? You know what I mean? It's the NBA All Star weekend. We're having G
Yeah.
leaguers run this event. Seems weird.
Yeah, Jalen Brown's changing the game. My guy out here changing it, getting all stars in it. Come on. Give him
That's
some credit.
obviously a that's obviously a fix. You know, get more All Stars
Yeah.
in the event. So shout out Jalen Brown for doing it. So you're not about they should keep it though. You don't
Yeah,
think they
keep
should?
it.
Yeah,
No, I
I think
like
it
it.
was Paul George who
Three
said that.
point three point is now the best though.
It is.
3 point is the best thing to watch.
It is 100%. Also, I think judges. We need more past champions as judges, not just like certain random past players. Because can't remember who specifically was throwing out weird ratings, but there was some bad scores given out. Like an average dunk all of a sudden was rated a 48, and like a really
Yeah,
good dunk was also a 48. I'm like, come on, like let's be a little more consistent here.
yeah, I feel like there could be some harsher judging going on.
Yeah, like literally
Yeah.
every single judge needs to be a pass dunk champion. Like
Well,
why not?
like every single dunk was at least like an 8. Like literally every dunk.
Yeah, come
So,
on.
I don't know.
Like one that really pissed me off. I think he got like a 48 or 49. Jalen Brown when he jumped over Kai Sinet. Kai Sinet is like 5'2", and he was sitting down. He wasn't even standing up, and then he jumped over him. Who cares? It's like the worst dunk I've seen. Like he should
No,
he
that
should
was
get
an
a
awesome
40.
dunk. I don't know what you're talking about.
Get out of here.
I thought that was a 49, honestly. Thought they undersold it.
Get the hell out of here. What do you think about this though? I was thinking about an event they should add that I think would draw a ton of interest. King of the Court.
Ooh,
One-on-one tournament.
like 3 dribbles or 4 dribbles or
Three or
something.
four dribbles or whatever. You you're not going to BS through that. Like it's one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like guys would
Hmm.
actually care about that. I feel like that'd be fun.
Literally,
Fans want
you
to
get their
watch that.
compet, you get their competitive juices going a lot.
Yeah.
I also thought about my idea to add would be a WNBA versus NBA like 3-point shootout, but like teams.
So not just Sabrina and Curry, like more
You could
players.
have like 2-on-2, 3-on-3, whatever you want to do. I mean, obviously, like the Sabrina and Caitlin Clark against Dame and Steph, like
Right.
that's obviously something wild. But like different situations like that.
They should do that. That would be so lit. Clark and Sabrina versus David Steph.
Literally,
Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. That's the pass rusher episode. Shout out Michael Strahan, whoever else we got.
Reggie Miller,
And then Reggie White.
Reggie White. Jeez, yeah,
Reggie
true.
Miller, huh?
Reggie Miller. Oh man, Reggie White. Sorry,
Oh,
jeez. He's a Packer, so it doesn't matter. It's fine.
facts. All right, y'all. We appreciate you. Sorry for the
Thanks,
long
Hardee's and
layoff.
Hardos.
We will be back again later this week. We'll drop a shorter episode 2 this week later. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll catch y'all then.
Hug your friends and family. We love you.